G'day everyone, it's Bo from GrowthWise. Xero recently released a new feature in payroll, and that new feature is when you click on the new employee button up here, invite to self-onboard. So we're going to go through that today and show how it all works, what it looks like for the employee, and what the flow looks like for you as the business owner when it comes back into Xero as well. Okay, let's get started with pushing the buttons. So if you're not on this page already, the way that we got here was we clicked on payroll and then we clicked on employees. Once we're on this page, we want to click on new employee and then go to invite to self-onboard. You'll notice this is very similar to if you manually added an employee, but remember we're sending this externally. So make sure that you've got all the details and everything correct based on fair work, all of that sort of stuff. Make sure that you follow all of those rules. So from here, for this demo, we're going to say employee, that their income type is salary and wages. We're hiring Ronald McDonald. Apparently makes a fair few good burgers and fries. And then we'll give him an email address. So obviously we'd put in your employee's email address here. The reason why we're doing this is we want to show you the employee side, not just the employer side. Due date for self-onboarding, we'll set this to say 17th. So that's just the reminder for the employee when they need to have this completed by. Onboarding contact person. So this is an interesting one that we sort of come across when we were testing this. The onboarding contact person does not have to be the same user that sets this up. So in my case, I'm going to set it to me, but just be aware that you can actually have this as a payroll officer, even if they don't have a Xero account for whatever reason. And then once you've done that, all you need to do is click on send invite. And you'll notice now that we're in this onboarding tab. So again, a new tab in the Xero payroll module. We've got the person that we're waiting on and we've got the status, so invite sent. So shortly I'll switch over and we'll have a look at the email just so you're aware of what it looks like for the employee as well. We're now looking at the email that the employee will receive. So a nice little welcome email, when the invitation is going to expire. And then for the employee, obviously, they need to click this button, set up my employee file. So let's do that. It's going to ask to enter a password. So we'll chuck a password in there. We'll agree to the privacy stuff and then we'll move on. Good one to be aware of here. Make sure that your password has 8 characters, or for your employee that's being onboarded here, make sure it has 8 characters. Otherwise, it's not going to work. As you can see here, passwords should contain 8 or more characters, one of which should be a number. So also make sure you do a number as part of that. Then click on activate your account. You would normally do the checkbox as well to say you've read all of the things. Okay. Here we go. Welcome, congratulations on your new role, same as what the email said. But now we're into the guided part for the employee. So personnel details, let's go in here. So it's already pre-filled the first name, the last name, date of birth. Let's say that he's been around a while. Not a valid date of birth. Wow, okay. Male. We'll enter in the address. Another one to be aware of is you do need to enter in a mobile number. So you can't proceed if you haven't entered the mobile number here. And then we'll click on save and next. We're now getting asked about your tax file numbers. So let's say yes. Obviously I'll blur this out, but as far as I'm aware, this does actually verify the tax file number. So if you put something in wrong, it'll flag it, which is really nice. Yes, let's say I'm an Aussie. We're not going to do that. Don't have a help loan. I think I do want to claim the tax-free threshold. Do I want additional tax withheld? No, I don't think so. So what's interesting here though as well is you can actually click on these things and you'll get, well, the employee will get a bit of an explanation as to what each part of it means, which can be quite helpful. So once we've filled in all of that data, we'll click on save and next. We'll get asked about a super fund. You can either use the default fund, nominate an existing super fund. I'm going to say, no, it's not a self-managed fund. So remember, this is what the employee is going to need to do rather than you doing it. I'm just making this up just for the purposes of this demo. Then save and next. Bank account name, cheeseburgers. And again, just making up the numbers. Save and next. Then the employee has the ability to review all of the information that's been provided. If they're happy with all of it, if they're not, they can click on each part and then actually review it. So say bank details, I might have made a problem here. Go to edit, I can then go and change it, save and review. Takes us back to this page. Then we can click on submit. Congratulations, the new employee has completed your onboarding. So now let's jump back into Xero and let's see what happens from that perspective. Back in Xero now, we're on the onboarding tab again, but you'll notice that the status for Ronald has updated to ready to review. It's important to note though, you will get an email when the onboarding for the employee has been completed. It's not a matter of you have to go into Xero every day and just check where it's up to. You will get emailed once that form has been completed. So once we're here, we can actually click on this button and go to review. And it's going to give us a neat summary of everything that's been sent to us. We can either reject and discard it, or we can go to save and continue. So after we clicked save and continue, this is the page that we end up on, which is familiar to you if you've ever used Xero Payroll before. But the nice thing is that it's actually been filled in, or a lot of it's been filled in. So parts that are not. So if we actually look at the employment basis, you will need to set that, whether they're full-time, part-time, casual, make sure that's all up to date. Just check the other tabs as well. Make sure there's nothing that's missing. The pay template, obviously, that doesn't get set from the employee side. You will set that yourself and then make sure everything's done. One thing that I did notice that I think's a little bit odd though, is if we go back to the employment tab, I'm assuming this is just done because not everyone wants to use it. But if we scroll down, the details tab, if we scroll down, an email address was provided. We made an account, but the employee is not invited to XeroMe. So that workflow where the employee sets a password and things, I don't know whether that then means when they're invited to XeroMe, they already have an account. So we'll test that out. We'll find that out shortly, but it's just another one to be aware of. If you do use XeroMe, you will need to come into here and actually invite the employee separately. It doesn't automatically happen. I just checked and confirmed that is the case. So if you do invite the employee to XeroMe, they will use the same password as what they did during the onboarding process. So that account's kind of already set up awaiting this. Whereas before, when you would invite the employee to XeroMe, obviously they hadn't done an onboarding workflow, so it was always a brand new Xero account. So that's just another one to kind of be aware of, I guess. There you go. That's Xero's new self-onboard feature for new employees. If you've got someone that you're about to hire and you're using Xero Payroll, definitely go in and give that a go and just see how it works for you. Hopefully the video has been helpful for you. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.